we go. I think that should be working better now, and it's about bloody time. I put this thing together myself a few years back during a little dabble in amateur radio, when I had a bit too much time on my hands, a few too many cans, and a sudden urge to, I don't know, talk to aliens maybe. But I never thought I'd be using it for this. Never in a million bloody years. But anyway, here we are, putting it to some proper use, finally. Now anyway, it's been about 5 days since that bastard across the pond went and blew its top and fucked everything up for everyone. 5 days, and that dreaded ash cloud, it's here. Or rather, it will be here very shortly. It's basically just on the horizon, and millions have packed up and scarpered, piled onto ferries, planes, trains, whatever they could get on, heading for the continent. But not me, I couldn't be arsed, honestly, so I've stayed put in my gaff here in Stalybridge, just east of Manchester. I was going to go across the tunnel, but then I thought, nah, too many French people. I think I'd prefer the ASHCLOUD. I mean, don't get me wrong, I like a good baguette as much as the next bloke, but I'm a home bird, I like me house, I like me neighbours, and I just can't be dealing with those arrogant fuckers. I'm sorry, not right now. But anyway, the Mrs. Sarah and our teenage daughter Louise, they're actually on holiday in Greece at the moment. I'm not sure it's turned out to be much of a holiday though, with the news and what's happened. They were there less than a day before Yellowstone erupted and were due to fly back tomorrow, which obviously won't be happening now, but anyway. So they're over there on one of the islands a bit further east, which is about as good a spot as you can hope for right now, I suppose, and they've been keeping in touch, or they were keeping in touch, I should say, up until about an hour and a half ago, and since then my phone has had no signal. It started getting proper dodgy, and now it's completely gone, but they're safe. They're thinking about moving further east if they need to, but I know they're worried about me, and I'm worried about them, obviously, very worried, but I try not to let on too much. Got to keep up appearances, haven't you? Keep the morale up. But yeah, another big reason I didn't go is me reptiles. I've got loads of them, proper passion that is, been collecting them for years, and I wasn't going to start packing them up and bringing them with me. It would be a bloody nightmare, absolute nightmare. So yeah, they're all here with me, got them all snug and safe, and they're part of the family, so I couldn't leave them, not a chance. So yeah, I've been on me lonesome the last couple of days, and it's been proper weird. I mean, I've been keeping myself busy, and I'll tell you a bit more about that later, but it's been very strange being on my own, not hearing the missus around the house, or our Louise stomping down the stairs, so the house has been eerily quiet, and all the while you've got the rumbling going on in the background, which adds to the eeriness and the ominous feel of the whole situation. I just heard the last proper reports from Liverpool only a few minutes ago. Before the signal went, they were saying the ash had started to fall, and Liverpool's only about 35 miles away. So if the cloud is moving 30, maybe 35 miles per hour, well, that doesn't give us very much time, does it? But before that, before Liverpool got it, it was Ireland. It got absolutely buried, the poor old Emerald Isle. I spent a lot of summers there as a kid, actually. My dad loved it. And we used to go across in the ferry and then drive around to different parts of the country for a couple of weeks. Great people, or great crack as they would say over there, but not anymore. My Uncle Barry, my mum's brother, he lives there actually in Wexford, or he was living there, and I was talking to him about 12 or 13 hours ago now. He was on the ferry making his way from Dublin to Liverpool, and from there he was going on somewhere else. But anyway, I gave him a call, and he said they were just leaving Dublin, so I said bon voyage, Barry, and then I tried calling him again about 5 hours later to see if he'd made it to Liverpool okay, but his phone's been off ever since. He probably forgot his charger, which wouldn't surprise me, the daft sod, but I just really hope he's all right and he made it across, because he told me on the phone that the cloud was closing in very quickly, and I could hear people in the background in a bit of a panic. It was pretty horrible, actually, but yeah, I hope you're safe, Barry. I hope you made it, mate. Give me a call when you get the chance. So anyway, I've got a couple of mates, proper fucking idiots, who are outside their houses right now, stood in the gardens, waiting to see the cloud come in, and I've told them to go inside, that the stupid bastards are going to die if they stay out there, but they're not having any of it. I mean, I don't know what they think this cloud is, as if they're just going to get a light dusting and then go back inside and settle down for the evening. It's just absolute stupidity of the highest degree, and I'm proper pissed off with them, especially if they've got their kids outside with them. Thick as pig shit, honestly, but I hope they come to their senses, not that they have any. And I know you can hear me, Liam, I know you're listening, so just go inside and stop being a stupid, stubborn bastard. So as I was saying earlier, I've been keeping busy, proper busy. Been at it 4 days straight, pretty much non-stop. Soon as I heard Yellowstone had gone off, I knew this was coming. Knew it. You don't get an eruption like that and it just stays put. So I sprang into action, and I'm a bricklayer, luckily enough, so I'm good with my hands, good with materials. And I spent a few years in the army back in the day, 6 years on and off in Afghanistan. Teaches you a thing or two about making do, being resourceful and thinking ahead when things go completely tits up. So I figured if the world's coming to an end, I'm not going out without a fight, or at least without a decent bit of shelter. So what exactly have I built? Well, it's not exactly a bunker, it's more of a fortified safe room, I suppose, and it's in what used to be the spare bedroom downstairs. Took everything out, stripped it right back to the brick. Then I started reinforcing walls first. I've got a load of heavy-duty timber beams I'd salvaged from an old renovation job, proper sturdy stuff. Nailed those to the existing joists. Then I've doubled up the plasterboard, sealed every single joint with industrial strength sealant, every corner, every edge. Then on top of that, I've got these massive rolls of thick reinforced poly sheeting, the kind they use for construction site containment. Tape that down with proper duct tape, overlapping by a good foot, all seams sealed again, so it's like a giant impenetrable bag inside a room. The door, that was a bit of a challenge. I've taken the original door off and put a new one in, solid oak, proper thick. Then I've faced it with a sheet of steel I had knocking about and welded it onto a timber frame. It's got a series of industrial strength bolts that slide into reinforced points in the door frame. So it's like a bank vault, basically. And then there's the air, that's the crucial bit. Volcanic ash, gases, like you don't want that shit in your lungs. So I've rigged up a proper air filtration system where I've got two pipes, one small intake pipe and one exhaust. Both go through the wall to the outside, but they're not just open holes, obviously. So inside I've routed them through a series of filters and got a couple of industrial filters, the big chunky ones to catch the ash. And then for the gases, I've got a couple of activated charcoal filters, like proper chemical warfare stuff. And I've got a couple of small electric fans running off a bank of leisure batteries I've charged up for positive pressure, meaning the air inside gets pushed out slightly. So if there's any tiny leak, the air goes out as opposed to going in and potentially killing me. And just in case the power goes or the batteries run flat, I've even got a hand-cranked air pump. Proper old school, but it'll do the job. And plus I've also got a stash of gas masks just in case all my hard work goes completely tits up. Inside, it's not exactly the Ritz, but it's livable. Got a proper thick mattress on the floor, sleeping bag, blankets, heater, lighting run off the batteries. And when I need to do my business, I can't exactly pop upstairs for a piss, not if the air outside is toxic. So I've got a chemical toilet, like the ones campers use. Got a good supply of the chemicals for it, got a sealed waste tank, and when it's full, I've got a couple of extra sealed buckets I can decant it into, put the lid on tight, store them away, so it's not glamorous, but it works. And as for food and water, I've got enough bottled water for a good few weeks easily. Food-wise, I've got plenty of tinned stuff, dried food, etc. And I've got a little gas hob for cooking, small gas canisters for fuel, and plenty of stuff for the gang too, for me reptiles. Got their heat mats running off separate battery packs, keeping them warm. Got a stash of frozen mice for Kevin and Sheila, and plenty of live insects for Barry, Brenda, Ollie, and Sean. Little tubs of calcium powder and vitamin supplements, made sure they're all sorted. So, I'm not telling you all this to try and say, hey, look at me, I'm sorted and you're all fucked. I'm telling you this because you can do the same thing if you still have time. You might not have all the materials I had at my disposal, but with a little bit of resourcefulness and some brainstorming, you can do the same thing, or at least give yourself more of a chance. I'm not saying it's 100% guaranteed to work, but It's better than just sitting around your house waiting for the ash cloud and hoping for the best. That is guaranteed death. Make no mistake about it. But it's just fucking mad that we find ourselves in this situation, innit? How things can change in such a short space of time, from doing me bricky work, which I loved actually. I've got no time for all that office work bollocks. I like being outdoors, and the footy, I'm a Man United fan through and through. Yeah, I know we're proper shite these days, absolute shambles, but still, doesn't stop me from getting that season ticket every year. Love going to the games, the roar of the crowd, the pints before and after, the banter, but that won't be happening anytime soon. But at least all this will stop the Scousers from winning again next year. But anyway, listen to that, it's still going. It's still hard to believe that's coming all the way from America. I mean, how old would that sound be, given the distance? Right, let's have a go, eh? A bit of maths, get the old brain working. Okay, so speed of sound, right, let's say roughly, what is it? It's about 767 miles per hour. And the distance from Wyoming, where Yellowstone is, to Stalybridge, here in England, that's a fair old stretch, that is. I think from what I remember after Googling it a few days ago, it's about 4,000 and a bit miles. Let's call it 4,200 miles, just for argument's sake. Keep it simple. So if sound travels at 767 miles an hour and the distance is 4,200 miles, that's 4,200 divided by 767. So that's, give me a second. Okay, so that's about 5.47 hours. So we'll just say somewhere between 5.5 and 6 hours. So the rumbling we're hearing now, that sound was actually made in Wyoming over 5 hours ago, 5.5 or whatever. That's how long it's taken to get here. That sort of shit blows my mind. I don't know why. It's just proper fucking mad when you think about it. And it's also mad to think that, well, let's not sugarcoat it, that you might be about to die, that I might never see Sarah again, or Louise, my little girl, never see their faces, never hear their voices, I never get to tell them that I love them one last time, or that I'm proud of them. Yeah, it just, I don't know. Oh, for fuck's sake, Gaz, pull yourself together, lad. Getting all in touch with me emotional side. I've become a right wuss because of all this bollocks. Grow a pair of balls, me dad would say, or cobblers as he called them. Good old dad. He'd have loved this, actually. He'd have thought this was exciting. That's what he was like. He were a fucking right nutter, me old man. Miss him loads, though. But yeah, such is life. Actually, you know what? I think I can see the sky starting to change a bit. It's dark out anyway, but it seems to be getting darker. Just looks proper weird, like. And I think that's probably my cue to leave, to go and take shelter. Yeah, that's definitely the cloud I can see. Oh, no doubt about it. Yeah, and the signal's starting to go now too. Alright, this is it. No more waiting. So yeah, that's me done, and all I can say is good luck, whoever and wherever you are. And I don't know, I've always been shit at goodbyes, so yeah, bye everyone.
We need immediate assistance. We're about 15, maybe 20 miles off the coast of Liverpool, and we can't see anything. The ash has come down too fast. It's coming down all around us. We're coming over from Dublin, going into the port and Liverpool, the docks, and we need immediate assistance. We can't see it. We're totally lost. We just can't see anything, and there's people dying on the ship. There's children dying on the ship, and there's just absolute panic. So if anybody can hear this, Coast Guard, anything, please come out. Try and find us. We're trying to signal our position, and just, please, we need your help. Just if anybody can hear this, send the message on. We're going to die here. This ship is going down. The ash is coming down so heavy, and we just can't see anything. We can't get in touch with the captain. We don't know what's going on, and we just, please, we need your help. We really need your help, or we're all going to die. There's a couple of hundred of us. on this ship trying to make it across. So just please send this message on to somebody else. And if you can hear it, please, I beg you, do everything you can to try and help us. We can't see anything. There's people collapsing all over the ship. They're suffocating. They're dying of the gases. And please just do something. The ship's going down. Please, we need your help immediately. Like I said, we're about 15, maybe 20 miles off the coast of Liverpool. And we were making our way up, but we got completely lost. We couldn't run out from the cloud. It was just coming too fast. It caught up on us. The seas are choppy. And we're going down, please. Please. I can't breathe. I can't breathe.
ASHCLOUD is steadily making its way eastwards. Having crossed the Atlantic, it reached British shores just in the last few hours. What was once an unimaginable scenario is now a terrifying reality for millions across this island. We're witnessing the ASHCLOUD moving in a distinctly easterly direction, sweeping across the western coastlines and progressively swallowing towns and cities beneath a suffocating blanket of grey and black dust. Parts of Wales and Scotland in particular have been hit hardest in these initial stages. Large swathes of Scotland are already buried under the relentless ashfall, with estimates suggesting that around 50% of the country is now engulfed. Glasgow, Scotland's largest city, has been overtaken rapidly, forcing what remains of its residents into silence as communication lines falter and streets disappear beneath the accumulating ash. The cloud continues its march eastward, pushing over Edinburgh, where emergency services are stretched to their limits, trying to maintain order and assist those trapped. Once bustling city centres have turned ghostly quiet as nature's dark veil smothers all life and activity. Together with Glasgow and Edinburgh, we have confirmed reports from Inverness, Aberdeen and Stirling, all struggling with ash deposits piling high on rooftops and streets alike. Wales has suffered perhaps the most dramatic and sudden ashfall in just the past 2 hours. Entire towns, from Swansea through to Aberystwyth and along to Wrexham, have been almost completely submerged. For many there, what began as a light dusting has turned into suffocation. People have been advised to evacuate, yet many chose to remain, barricading themselves inside their homes, hoping to weather the storm. As for England, the ASHCLOUD is currently approaching Manchester and Birmingham, gradually infiltrating into the heart of the Midlands. Liverpool, a city we reported from only moments ago, has gone silent, becoming another casualty of the overwhelming ashfall. Communications have failed there just as they did earlier in Scotland, with many densely populated areas losing all means of contact. Other towns along the west coast, Blackpool, Preston and Chester, are also reporting heavy ash deposits. Emergency alerts urge those in these regions to prepare for rapid evacuation, though the scale of the disaster has overwhelmed local services. The scene across the country is one of widespread panic. Hundreds of thousands have taken to the roads in a desperate stampede southwards, hoping to escape the impending ash. On the M74 and A1, long convoys of vehicles crawl towards the Channel Tunnel, but with the cloud advancing from the west, many are finding their escape routes cut off. In Wales, motorways, including the M4 corridor, are completely gridlocked, with some drivers abandoning their cars altogether to flee on foot. The gridlock is nationwide, largely fueled by last-minute decisions to evacuate and attempts to get to the continental mainland. The scale of this crisis has overwhelmed emergency responders. From Coast Guard teams down to local rescue squads, efforts are ongoing to evacuate those most at risk and assist the vulnerable. Yet the reality is grim. The magnitude of ashfall means that some areas are unreachable, and many residents have been forced to weather the storm in place. The Prime Minister addressed the nation earlier today, urging calm and cooperation, thanking emergency workers, and warning that while evacuation remains the priority, the ASHCLOUD will affect every part of the UK in the coming days. Government contingency plans are being activated at every level, including the deployment of military assistance to maintain logistical support and order. As of this evening, reasonable estimates suggest that close to 3 million Britons have managed to leave the country since the eruption at Yellowstone began, an astonishing figure given the limitations of transport and infrastructure in such conditions. This exodus, unprecedented in modern history, underscores the sheer scale of fear and the instinct to survive. But the ASHCLOUD is relentless, and there is no known way to stop or divert it. Meteorological models show the likeliest path will blanket the entire UK within 24 hours before continuing over northern and central Europe. Many people across the continent have already fled in the millions.
This is an emergency alert. We interrupt all usual programming with an urgent public safety announcement, broadcast on behalf of His Majesty's government. As you are aware, the resulting ash cloud from the Yellowstone eruption is now crossing Britain, bringing with it a severe and immediate threat. This is a life-threatening emergency. For those of you who have not yet evacuated, it is imperative that you understand the immediate actions required to protect yourselves and your families. If you are currently in your home, you must remain indoors. Do not venture outside unless it is absolutely unavoidable. Seal all windows and doors. Use tape, wet towels, or any available material to block gaps and prevent ash ingress. Turn off all ventilation systems, air conditioning, and heating that draw in outside air to avoid circulating ash inside your home. Gather essential supplies. Water, non-perishable food, and any necessary medications should be kept close at hand. Use an N95 or FFP3 mask if available. Otherwise, hold a damp cloth over your mouth and nose to filter the air. Monitor official broadcasts on your radio or television for further updates. If you are currently outdoors, seek immediate shelter in the nearest sturdy building. Do not attempt to travel long distances outdoors. Cover your mouth and nose with a cloth or scarf to filter the ash. Protect your eyes with glasses or goggles if you have them. Avoid prolonged exposure to the ash fall as it can cause severe respiratory and eye irritation. Once indoors, follow the instructions for those in their homes. If you are in a vehicle, including those in gridlock, for those attempting to evacuate, continue driving with extreme caution where it is safe to do so. Maintain a significant distance from other vehicles, use headlights, and be aware of severely reduced visibility down to a few meters. However, if ashfall becomes heavy or visibility drops to near zero, you must not continue driving. Pull over safely to the side of the road, turn off your engine, and remain inside your vehicle. Driving through heavy ash can rapidly damage engines, clog air filters, significantly reduce tire traction, and completely obscure windscreens, making it extremely dangerous and likely to leave you stranded. If you are stuck in gridlock and ashfall is heavy, your best option may be to abandon your vehicle safely and evacuate on foot to the nearest secure shelter. Prioritize your life over your vehicle. If you must abandon your vehicle, follow the instructions for those outdoors, covering your mouth and eyes. Additional critical information. Do not call 999 unless it is a life-threatening medical emergency. Emergency services are stretched to their absolute limits. Conserve mobile phone battery and use for essential communication only. Check on vulnerable neighbors if it is absolutely safe to do so, without exposing yourself to risk. Tune to BBC Radio 4, BBC Radio 5 Live, or your local BBC radio station for continuous official information and updates. These channels will carry the distinctive alert tone for future announcements. This situation is evolving rapidly. We understand this is a frightening time, but staying calm and following these instructions will save lives. Prioritize your safety above all else. This has been an emergency alert from His Majesty's government. Stay safe.
Hello and welcome back to the program. We were just about to take another caller before we were interrupted by the emergency alert system announcement. So we're going to take that call now. So hello, who's there and where are you?
Shite. Good man yourself, how you getting on? This is Barry here, and I'm currently on the M6 heading south. I originally went up the north, up to Larne, and I took the boat over from there, over to Stranraer in Scotland, and drove down through Scotland. Luckily enough now, I got through it before the ASHCLOUD completely consumed the place. I was just out of it, across the border basically,
when I started hearing reports that Scotland had just been absolutely buried. So got out of it just in time, and on the M6, as I said, and I'm not having a bad time, to be honest with you. You know yourself, life can get a bit boring sometimes, a bit mundane. The old 9 to 5, the slog, and now I'm fleeing a fucking ASHCLOUD, man. I feel like I'm in a Hollywood fucking blockbuster.
Language, please.
English.
High above the M6 motorway, and frankly, what we are witnessing down below is nothing short of an absolute unmitigated tragedy, a scene of truly biblical proportions. From our vantage point in the helicopter, looking down on what should be one of Britain's busiest arteries, it is simply gridlock. Thousands upon thousands of vehicles, stretching for as far as the eye can see, are completely at a standstill. Already, we're seeing countless vehicles simply abandoned, cars, lorries, buses, just left in the middle of the motorway, adding to the congestion as others desperately try to navigate around them or simply through them. And there's hundreds of people, maybe thousands of them, running down the motorway itself, weaving in and out between the traffic, a desperate, frantic exodus on foot. Some vehicles are just simply ramming others, trying to force a path, any path, through this immovable wall of steel. There are flashing lights everywhere, a sea of blue and red. The emergency services, the police, bravely trying to control what is, by any definition, an uncontrollable situation. But it's just miles upon miles of these tiny pinpricks of light in the deepening darkness, a truly chaotic and utterly tragic sight as tens of thousands attempt to flee this monstrous ash cloud. And we can see it way off to the west now, a vast curtain of black just consuming the horizon, blotting out the stars. It's a mass of absolute darkness, and we're told it's moving at approximately 35 miles an hour, but from this height, it simply appears to defy that figure, devouring the landscape with truly terrifying speed. The sheer scale of it rolling across the land, it's utterly breathtaking and terrifying in equal measure. And we ourselves are going to have to make a move very, very shortly, because that ash cloud, if those estimates hold, will be here incredibly quickly. And for most of the people down there, I'm afraid to say, they're simply not going to make it. They won't make it, which I think explains what we're now seeing with the police. They're literally running from vehicle to vehicle, shouting, gesturing, telling people to just get out, abandon their vehicles, and run for it. That's precisely what's happening, and we can just about make people out, tiny figures, now running across the fields that flank the motorway, seeking any escape route across the open countryside. And since I just mentioned seeing that cloud in the distance, I must tell you, the activity has it's gone from frantic to full-blown pandemonium down there. Everybody, and I mean literally everybody, is now getting out of their cars and running. They're clearly listening to their radios, hearing the updates, understanding precisely where that cloud is, the pace of its advance. And high up here in the chopper, we can obviously see much further out, but the moment I mentioned it, the sheer sudden rush of bodies streaming from vehicles is just staggering. And so I think I might have just done the police's job for them. But we're going to have to go now ourselves, right now. The speed at which that cloud seems to be approaching is incredible. Pray for those people down below, because their only hope now is divine intervention. This has been Jonathan Blake, your eye in the sky over the M6.
Okay, that was Jonathan Blake there, giving us an idea of what's going on along the M6 as this ash cloud closes in. And we're hearing that scenes like that are being repeated all over the country, all along the nation's motorways. We're seeing absolute gridlock. Abandoned cars, people on foot, a growing sense of panic and chaos as the ash cloud continues its relentless advance across the nation. And we're not just seeing this on our roads. Down at the Channel Tunnel, the scenes are tragic. Hundreds of thousands are attempting to flee the country to reach the continent. We're getting reports of absolute chaos unfolding amidst the panic. People pushing, shoving, desperate to get onto those trains, those ferries. Families are being separated in the crush. It's just sheer chaos and desperation as a tide of humanity surges towards any escape route they can find. And as for the situation at the airports, well, it's worse, specifically Gatwick and Heathrow. We're getting live feeds, we're getting reports, and the scenes there, they are absolutely shocking. Shocking doesn't even begin to cover it. The runways are full. Not full of planes, not full of ground crew, not full of luggage handlers, full with people.
hundreds, maybe even thousands of them. They have broken past the perimeter fences and they've just breached security, pushed through the checkpoints, scaled the walls, whatever it takes to get onto the tarmac. Some of them are refusing to move. They're just sitting there, standing there, lying there, blocking the path, refusing to let the last of the planes take off, the final flights out. They're just hoping that somehow, by sheer force of will, by sheer mass of humanity, they can get themselves or their loved ones onto one of these planes. And then there are some who are grabbing onto any part of the planes that they can as the planes attempt to take off. We've had confirmation of what can only be described as absolutely tragic footage. Truly, truly awful. Footage of some people, not just one or two, but multiple individuals clinging on for dear life to the landing gear, to the wheel wells, to the very wings of these massive aircraft, clinging on as the planes start to taxi, as they pick up speed, as they lift off the ground, and then they fall. They fall to the ground as the plane ascends. The sheer desperation, the sheer utter catastrophic desperation that would drive someone, a mother, a father, a child, to do that, to hang on to the undercarriage, to the landing gear, to the wings, to anything, just for the faintest, most impossible hope of getting away. And then just to plummet, it's just a scene of absolute unimaginable horror. The ground crews, the pilots, they're making impossible choices. They're trying to just get airborne to save those on board, the passengers who did make it through, while faced with this absolute pandemonium, this human tragedy on the ground. The screams, the sirens, the roar of the engines, it's a vision of hell. And it's not just the runways themselves, it's the terminals too. The terminals are like war zones, absolutely packed. People are fighting over the last available seats, over any scrap of information, over water, over food, but mostly over the idea of getting out. The last hope, the last flight. And the noise, we're told, is simply deafening. The screams, the shouts, the blaring sirens of emergency vehicles trying to get through, trying to somehow intervene. The security forces, the military, they are simply outnumbered, overwhelmed. And the same is happening at ports along the southeast. From Dover to Portsmouth to New Haven to Folkestone, any port, any dock, people are trying to board boats, ships, ferries, anything that leaves for the continent. We're talking about commercial ferries that are already full, or cruise ships, or even just small fishing vessels, private yachts, even dinghies, anything that floats and appears to be heading out into the channel. And there's a similar crush to what we're hearing from the Channel Tunnel, but perhaps even more chaotic because it's multiple points, multiple vessels, and less structured. People are trying to swim out to boats that are already pushing off from the docks. You see them in the water just trying to reach a rope, reach a ladder, trying to be pulled aboard. And we've already had reports of people drowning, people being pulled under by the sheer force of the tide, or by the weight of their own clothes, or simply by the panic, by the cold, by exhaustion. The sea itself is claiming lives now too. The water, the air, the land, everything is against them. It's a truly, truly unprecedented situation we are facing here. The scale of human desperation, it's something we've never had to witness, never had to report on, but nonetheless, this is the reality we're facing. Okay, we're going to go over now to our expert team who are looking at the latest satellite images, the latest footage, trying to map the ingress of this cloud, to track its movement. And we have meteorologist Shannon Grayson with us, who's been monitoring the atmospheric conditions, the particulate matter, the direction of the plume, and she's going to tell us exactly where the front of that ash cloud now is and how much of the UK it has covered so far. So over to you, Shannon. What can you tell us?
Well, from looking at the latest satellite imagery, which is becoming increasingly difficult to acquire, we can see the main body of this ash cloud, obviously pushing in from the west, having originated in the United States, but it's moving outwards in all directions. So as we experience the cloud coming from the west in parts of Russia and in parts of Asia, they're experiencing the cloud coming from the east. But as for the United Kingdom, its trajectory has been unfortunately consistent with our worst case models, and so currently as we speak, the leading edge of the cloud has reached as far east as Manchester and Stoke-on-Trent. We're seeing real-time visual confirmation of conditions deteriorating rapidly over Greater Manchester now, and the latest high-resolution thermal imaging, which gives us some limited penetration through the initial layers. It shows that Wales is completely blanketed. It's no longer visible beneath the density of the cloud, and similarly much of the southwest of England is gone, from Land's End all the way across Devon, Cornwall, Somerset, as far east as Bristol, and we're talking ash of up to 2 meters in depth in just a few short hours, and it's still rising, so there's no let-up in the amount of ashfall. In fact, it's worse here than in some parts of the United States even, and it just keeps coming and coming as the eruption at Yellowstone continues, along with the subsequent eruptions of Mount St. Helens, Mount Rainier and Mount Hood, and further north, looking at Scotland, easily 60 to 65% of the landmass is covered. Glasgow, as we reported earlier, has been completely enveloped for the past hour, and now, just in the last few minutes, our latest telemetry confirms Edinburgh has also been fully impacted, and the cloud is pushing further eastwards into the Firth of Forth and towards the North Sea. We're tracking the advance of the main front, the leading edge, and its forward momentum is averaging between 30 and 35 miles per hour, and this is a consistent velocity, and given its current position impacting Bristol now, we anticipate it will impact London in approximately 3.5 to 4 hours from now. We've lost contact with numerous meteorological stations within the covered areas such as Liverpool, Blackpool, Cardiff, Swansea, Plymouth, Exeter. They are all completely submerged under this advancing front, as is Ireland, the entire country, and vast swathes of the Irish Sea is just a mass of black-grey cloud, and we're also seeing evidence of electrical activity within the cloud itself. Ash clouds are highly conductive, so we're expecting lightning storms, and these storms, without the usual visual cues, pose an extreme danger. The ash particles are abrasive, they're corrosive, they'll be impacting infrastructure, machinery, anything exposed, and the sheer weight of the accumulated ash in prolonged periods of deposition, we could see structural collapses, and as for the air itself, it will be toxic, and so inhaling this ash is absolutely devastating for the respiratory system. So we're advising everyone in the path of this cloud to seal off their homes, to stay indoors, to use any means necessary to filter the air.
Okay, Shannon, thanks for that. So 3.5 to 4 hours until the cloud reaches the capital, and we have to inform our listeners that we are going to be leaving the studio very shortly. We have designated shelters, and we have to take all the necessary measures to ensure our best chances of survival and the survival of our loved ones, because that's what it comes down to now. It's a matter of survival. That's the reality of the situation. But we want to keep you informed and updated, as is our duty, and so we will attempt to remain on the air for as long as humanly possible, and we'll be transmitting live updates from our mobile units from wherever we can for as long as we can, to give you that real-time information, to tell you exactly where the edge of this cloud is, which direction it's moving, to give you the best possible chance of getting through this. But as I said, we're going to be going off air very, very shortly. We need to make our own preparations. We need to evacuate to our designated shelters. So please, if you are listening and you are anywhere near the path of this ash cloud, do the same. Prepare yourselves, secure yourselves, protect your families.
I'm here at Gatwick Airport, and as you can hear, the place is in absolute turmoil. There's screaming, there's crying, there's fights breaking out. Riot police are involved in a battle outside the terminal, as well as on the tarmac, where hundreds of people have breached the perimeter fence, attempting to board the last planes out of the country or stop them from taking off. It's just sheer mayhem, and the situation is getting worse by the second as people grow more and more desperate. There's a lot of families here, and the fear on the faces of the children, it's absolutely heartbreaking to witness. They're utterly terrified by what's going on around them, and to tell you the truth, so am I. It's just, this is absolute madness, and oh my God, there's shots being fired. There's shots being fired. Fuck!
Obviously, there's been an influx of people from America in the last few days. Many of them believed that getting to Britain would provide sufficient distance from the ash cloud. So, how did you end up here? What was your thinking behind the decision?
Well, been absolutely honest with you, Prime Minister. My main objective was escaping the police.
Okay, just so you're aware, I am not the Prime Minister.
Yeah, I know you got like a different system here. Maybe you go by a different title, like King or Duke or Lordship or whatever, but ain't no point getting sidetracked by the minor details right now when we got bigger shit to be dealing with.
Okay, well, for the record, just to dispel any possible confusion, I'm not the King or a Duke, nor a Lord, but anyway, you left the United States because you're on the run from the authorities. So basically, you're a criminal.
Yes, that is correct, Your Majesty. According to the definition of what a criminal be defined as, I do indeed fall within that category. Although I must add that I completely disagree with that definition. Not necessarily on an intellectual basis, but just for the sake of being awkward and having no respect for international law. And DJ Fluffy Pussy be backing me up on that.
Okay, well that is an absolutely sickeningly abhorrent attitude. Just disgusting. You're a menace. Nothing but a menace. And how in God's name they even let you on the plane is beyond me.
Yes, Your Honor, that did come as a surprise to me too, especially since I ain't got no passport, but I think a combination of Fluffy P's seductive manipulation skills and my expertise in negotiating with a Glock 19 seal the deal.
You are a despicable man. There's no other word for you, none I could use on the radio anyway, and you should be catapulted back in the direction you came from. You and your stupid bloody cat.
Oh, hell no. You just crossed the line, motherfucker. Ain't nobody gonna be disrespecting Fluffy P like that. You're gonna get scratched the fuck up.
Yeah, whatever. Bring it on, you fluffy little asshole. Goodbye.